Welcome to Mary Walter Radio, the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a great guest tonight. I'm so excited about this. We already have people who are online watching. I want to thank Barry and Douglas Souter and Joe Scalia and Michael Levkov and Ricky Kerr and Julian Fix and Bring Back the 60s, all new subscribers to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you for doing that. Thank you so much. Please like the channel, subscribe to it, like the podcast. You can go back to previous podcasts and you can watch them. We've got Sean Spicer and James Rosen and Cal Thomas. And tonight's guest, who I just adore as a person. I think he's a super nice guy, and so happy that he is with us. We are joined by Lieutenant Col Allen West. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the podcast.
Good to be with you, Mary. And the Queen. I'm sorry, I need to just use the Queen. And Jimmy, how are you doing?
Very good. How are you, sir?
Great.
So as we go here, as you know, when we do these, we don't do politics. I don't like to do like when I do get to speak may I call you Alan or should I call you
Absolutely.
Sir?
Alan.
Okay, Alan. Okay. I'm so used to calling you sir.
You're the Queen.
Right.
I am the Queen. There's a story behind that. They asked me my preferred pronouns the last time I went to the hospital. So I told them that my preferred pronoun was Your Majesty. My preferred name was Your Majesty. And now all my medical records are Your Majesty.
Oh, man.
So, but anyway, so I am blessed with being able to speak with Alan and have gotten to quote unquote know him through the radio, and a great guy, super nice. And I can tell you sometimes get a vibe from someone, but we always talk politics. We're always talking about the border or something along those lines. So I like to do something different and ask questions and get to know you in a way that other audiences don't have the ability to get to know you. And you are welcome to ask questions if you are watching on YouTube, just leave your questions. You can do the same on Getter. I just have to read your questions if you're watching on Getter, but on YouTube they will populate and we can answer them. And he's been kind enough to say, I will answer your questions. So we can do that. So first of all, 3 books. You are a prolific writer. Anyone who pumps out 3 books in my world is prolific. Guardian of the Republic. Now, what's interesting is the subtitle on this is An American Ronin's Journey to Faith, Family, and Freedom. I had to look up Ronin to find out what that word was. And it's a Japanese feudal lord.
Yes. Well, what it comes from is actually the samurai warrior who lost his feudal lord that he served. But the thing is that the Ronin still went out and served the people. He pledged his sword to the people. And if you know the incredible story about the 47 Ronin, it's a true story from Japanese history when by treachery their Lord Master was killed. They weren't supposed to take retribution because that's part of the code of the samurai, but for their own honor and for the sake of restoring the honor of their master, they were declared Ronin, of course, because they had lost their master, but they still went and exacted retribution for his death. And they are celebrated to this day. And so I just think about that word Ronin because it's not about serving a master. I mean, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is our master, but it's not about serving an earthly master. Here in America, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, we take an oath to the people, and the embodiment of the people is the American Constitution. That's what we say we'll support and defend. So that's why I use that term, American Ronin.
Very interesting. Wow. And the second book is Hold Texas, Hold the Nation, written in 2018, which at the time, Texas was really just coming into its own as being kind of like Florida, right? Like kind of like Florida at the same time of these 2 stalwart states that were holding the line against all the socialism that was creeping in. And then thirdly, and that is your adopted state. That's where you live now. Yep. And lastly, your most recent book, We Can Overcome an American Black Manifesto. How is that? Is that book different than your other books?
Yeah, the last book really, is based upon understanding what the Black conservative movement and theory and ideology is all about, because a lot of people want to try to say that Black conservatism is something that just popped up on the screen in the last 5 or 10 years. That's not the case. And so what we really do is we go back through history and, we look at Booker T. Washington, we look at Madam C.J. Walker, we look at the men who early on served in the military and the principles and values upon which they stood. understood. And, I always talk about Booker T. Washington and his 3 principles of education, entrepreneurship, and self-reliance, which I wish the ladies on The View, the Stygian bitches that they are, would think about that. But obviously, I think that, what's her name, Joy Behar, knows more about being a black man than I do, having been born and raised down south. So maybe she's identifying as a black man. I don't know.
Have you ever been on The View?
Oh, no, they're not going to have Lieutenant Colonel Allen West on The View. No.
Okay.
No, that'll be a nuclear detonation right there. Okay.
Well, they had that show, though.
I'm sorry, Jim?
I'd watch that episode. I definitely watched that episode.
Oh, yeah. Well, did you see Tim Scott on with them? He was great. He did such a good job.
And the thing is that you go there, and like I said, they're the Stygian witches, and you know that you have the odds stacked against you, but you got to at least try to hold your own. And when you have the audience there, just the clapping seals that are out there, clapping to whatever they say. But what was so amazing to me, Mary and Jimmy, is that, they're sitting up there, and what I was listening to them talk about is the soft bigotry of low expectations. And basically, they're saying that a kid like me, born in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, in 1961, in a black-owned hospital, I'm screwed. I should not expect to have any opportunity to understand and be a part of the American dream. And, little massa white man and white woman, that's what I call them, they're going to come around and just give me a little bit to help to get by and whatever. And that's what the Democrat Party's always done. They have never talked about being a victor. They always talk about being a victim. So that's why they're never going to have me on, because I would have used those exact same words on Whoopi and Sonny Hostin and the rest of them.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've said on the radio when they were talking about, you hear the Democrats talking about, well, we need all these immigrants to come into our country to, pick our food and do jobs that Americans don't want to do. And I said, all you have to do is replace the word food with the word cotton. Yeah. And they are exactly who they were in the 1800s. I mean, they haven't changed.
Well, actually, I'll give you a better one. You replace the word vote with the word cotton. Because now the 21st century economic plantation is all about harvesting votes in the inner cities. And that's really the new crop that they want to keep them in power. That's why everything's white supremacy. If you disagree with the left, you're a white supremacist. Even if you're a black person, you're a black face of white supremacy. You're an Asian face of white supremacy. You're just a white supremacist if you don't agree with us, and you just suck. Okay.
You got to give them credit. They do adapt, don't they?
They do. I mean, every time you turn around, you're a mega white supremacist Republican, and you're an ultra mega extremist MAGA whatever. And it's just like you can predict what they're going to say, and it's so I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I hear you. So Pete says, Ronin, there was an excellent movie by that name, and he said it was the 13th Ronin. Is it the 13th Ronin, or did you say 14th?
Well, it was 47 Ronins. 47 Ronin. That's the original Japanese movie, and it was remade, but I think it had Keanu Reeves in it. But there's also a movie called Ronin, which featured Robert De Niro, and it was a great movie. It was about all of these former CIA agents and KGB agents, of course, because the Soviet Union had fallen, and former French intel, and they just kind of got together, and they were just a bunch of kick butt kind of folks, because again, their agency, their master had let them go or whatever. So that's another good movie to watch. Robert De Niro in Ronin.
Interesting. So James, now James is our producer here, and he sits in, he's basically become my co-host here because we don't necessarily see eye to eye politically all the time. So sometimes it makes for some good conversations, but he's a huge history buff. And when I texted him on like Thursday, and I said, hey, are you in on Tuesday? We have Allen West is coming on, and I knew he'd be really excited. And he said he texted me back. He goes, I'm reading all weekend. So
well, I did go a little bit.
It took you about 10 minutes to do that. So, but I will say one thing before we really get going. As you can see, I have my shirt on. I served in the 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red One, as they're known. Their mission, their motto is no mission too difficult, no sacrifice too great, duty first. And I just think that today is a great day to remember the men of the 1st Infantry Division who hit Omaha Beach. I also served in the 4th Infantry Division. They were on Utah Beach. And I did a little time as a paratrooper. The 82nd and 101st, what they did. So let's always remember 79 years ago, there were young men that were giving their lives to fight against a true evil and to liberate people. So,
and I have to say, and I'm so glad you brought that up because I was reading about that today and I was sitting in a waiting room. So I was reading and I didn't think about bringing that up. So shame on me. So I'm glad you did. But what struck me when I was reading about it today was, I just don't know if America has the guts anymore, the wherewithal, the strength, the commitment to do something like that today.
I will slightly disagree with you, Mary, in that there are still young men out there that will do that. And I know because I served with them. I was in combat with them in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan. But Karl von Clausewitz talked about a thing called the paradoxical trinity, where you have to have the will of the soldier, you have to have the will of the people, and you have to have the will of the government, the elected leaders. And I think that's what we're lacking right now is the will of a government. Because when you look and see what is happening with China or Islamic terrorists, North Korea, Iran, all of Russia, all of these people, the fact that we have a wide open border, I know we're starting to delve into issues and stuff, but I don't think that at the elected official level we have that will. But there are young men and women who still want to get out there and honor their oath that they took to the Constitution and to protect us and to stand on freedom's ramparts and be our guardians of the Republic, which was the first book that I wrote.
Absolutely. Yeah. Scott says, great job, 1st Division. That's what Scott says.
Cool.
So go ahead, James, jump in. Go ahead.
So, you talk about leadership too, and I think you've had some amazing experiences just being in a couple special units like the 101st or the 82nd. But also, I read that you did some time with the Marine Expeditionary Forces. Crossover. What did you find valuable leadership lessons changing into the crossing services? Obviously, the Marines and the Army do some things very different.
Well, absolutely. And the most important thing that I learned by being at Camp Lejeune for 3 years is that you have to talk real slow to Marines, and you don't allow to have crayons around them because they'll eat the crayons. And they love the grape ones especially. I tried to tell them it's purple, but they said no, it's grape. No, I'm just kidding. Just great bunch of men and women who serve in the Scarlet and Gold. As a matter of fact, my older brother was a Marine Corps infantryman in Vietnam, and so what I learned from them is that sense of tradition, that sense of honor, that warrior ethos that they have. And, we kind of have that in the Army, especially in the airborne and your special operations units. Yeah. But there's something, that binds them together. Every Marine is a rifleman. That's their mentality. And I think that we could adopt that a little bit better because there are people that are soldiers, but past basic training, they have never shot a weapon, ever again. So just being able to understand that maritime force and amphibious operations and things of that nature, although a little bit of history for everyone out there, the Army has conducted more amphibious assaults and landings than the United States Marine Corps. And of course, today was the largest in history, which was Operation Overlord. But the incredible commitment, and I'll never forget my very first Marine Corps birthday ball. I will tell you, it just floored me. And my wife, Angela, she still remarks at it today. And I'll never forget, she went up to the Marine officers and said, "Boy, you guys have such great uniforms." I felt like that big, man. I mean, here I am at the Marine Corps birthday ball. My wife, whose dad also served 24 years in the Army, and I got dissed. And if you don't, and I heard about that for forever. you know.
I have to say, when I was at Fox, I was at in New York a lot in Manhattan, and Fleet Week was the best
Here
week
we go. Here we go.
ever,
Here we
ever.
go.
No offense, but they have
Here we
their
go.
uniforms they're hot. The
See,
Marines do have the
see,
best uniforms. I'm sorry.
see.
And the
See,
dress and
and
navy dress whites are also good too. I gotta say.
the
I'm
good
sorry.
humor man uniforms, ice cream uniforms. but you know what's so interesting and so funny is that, you know, when I was growing up, I mean, you had John Wayne and the movie The Green Berets.
Right.
And I tell you what, I was like, I got to get some of that. I want to be jumping out of airplanes. I want to wear a beret. I want to be, you know, badass kind of guy. And then the next thing you know, we go from John Wayne in the Green Beret to Bill Murray in Stripes.
Right.
and you know, the Marines get Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. You get Tom Cruise and Top Gun and everything like that. I mean, you got all these Navy SEAL movies and everything. And I'm like, these guys are kicking our butt when it comes to marketing and propaganda and advertising and everything.
Right.
So, you know, we finally kind of got it right with, Black Hawk Down and everything. But then they came back with Zero Dark 30. But the thing is that we poke fun at each other. There is no doubt about it. But the American people need to know when trouble arises, we come together as one to protect and to serve.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked a little bit about your dad, and you know, you were so kind to send me probably about 24 photos, family photos and everything, which is great. So we will show them because some of them are old, some vintage photos. You could tell us who everyone is, especially as we talk about your family, because one thing that really stands out to me about you is you are all about family, and that plays a role in the story that we're going to tell, because you mentioned your dad was in the military, and your dad was in the military at a time when this country was still very segregated.
Oh yeah.
And as a Black man in the military, obviously was not treated as well by his country. And you wrote about that great piece, by the way. I really recommend everyone go to townhall.com and read your opinion piece about Pride, because it is Pride Month, right? And you take a different twist on it. It's not insulting to the idea of quote unquote gay pride or anything like that, but it's a piece on what pride is, and you talk about what you're proud of. And the theme that runs through all of it is service and family are the two themes that I got that run through this entire piece. And it really starts with your dad. Talk about your dad and how he influenced your decisions and where it took your life.
Well, look, I mean, you get asked all the time, you know, who's your mentor, who's your role model, who's your hero, blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't have to look too far. It's my dad. You know, my dad was born in 1920 in South Alabama, jumped the Chattahoochee River and grew up in South Georgia. And at a time, as we just talked about, when his country didn't see him as an equal, he still knew that he had to serve his country. And so he was a corporal in the United States Army in World War II. He was in the European Theater of Operations from North Africa to Sicily to Italy, got wounded there in Italy and was shipped back home. But at the age of 15, you know, my dad looked at me and challenged me on the steps of his house there in Atlanta. And he said that there was no greater honor than to wear the uniform of the United States of America. He wanted me to be the first officer in our family because he was an enlisted man. My older brother was an enlisted Marine. And that was huge for your dad to look at you. I mean, this rock of a person who never talked about being a victim, who never talked about hating the country or any of these things. He always talked about what this country afforded him. And he had a great saying. He said, always go out and find out what the standard is and exceed it. And that's something that I've always tried to do in my life, not comparing myself to others, but finding out what the standard is. And so I sent you a picture, you know, him right after World War II in his uniform there leaning up against an old car there in South Georgia, Cuthbert, Georgia, Randolph County. But I also sent you a picture of 31 July 1982. Yeah, that's
a great picture.
Yeah, that's Dad down there in Cuthbert, Georgia, Randolph County. And I sent you a picture of the day that I got commissioned at the University of Tennessee. Like I said, 31 July 1982. And Dad was on one shoulder, Mom was at the other shoulder. And
I think this is it. Let me see if this is that it?
that's it.
Hmm.
And that was the only time that I really saw my dad tear up. And it meant the world to me because I had fulfilled his challenge to me.
Hmm.
And that was the only time dad saw me get promoted because I was stationed in Italy when I made first lieutenant. And while I was in Italy, that's when he passed away. So he never saw another promotion of mine. So
Huh.
it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. James, did you have anything? I
I
don't want. I
mean,
don't want. I don't want to. I don't want to monopolize.
no, that's okay. And you were just talking about black soldiers, and I just recently read a book about the lost battalions. Basically
Oh,
the
yeah.
the black battalions they gave to the French in World War One, or the French were
Yeah.
like, "We'll take them," and they were some of the
Yeah.
best fighters of World War One. They were an outstanding battalions.
Yeah, they were given the Croix de Guerre, and it was so interesting
Yeah,
because people know about General John Pershing, and he had the
sure.
nickname Blackjack. Well, he earned the nickname Blackjack because he commanded 9th and 10th Cavalry soldiers, back here in the United States of America. And it was interesting in that as he gave those soldiers over to the French, like the 369th Hellfighters from Harlem, he kind of
That's the
told
one.
them, this is how you should treat them. Don't show them this, don't show them that, because, we don't want them to get too haughty or whatever. And the French did not see their color. They just saw their fighting spirit. And the Germans definitely saw their fighting spirit. And I think that when you go back to, and this is part of the book that I wrote, We Can Overcome, the 54th Massachusetts Regiment, the very first black soldiers in uniform for this country officially.
Yeah.
That's what, black men have always believed, is that we can, through our deeds in uniform, show that we are equal to our white brothers and sisters. And that's why my dad said that, the military is not going to see you for your color. The military is going to see you based upon your merit. But how funny it is that now we have completely gone the opposite direction in the military. And now we're talking more about color than we are about merit.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was going to make. I had the honor of meeting a Tuskegee Airman,
Oh,
and
wow.
I just ran into him. I was renting a car. It had to be like 2018, 2019,
Hmm.
and the car rental place was at this local hotel. And so I'm walking in, and I see this elderly couple, and I can see on the back of his jacket it says Tuskegee Airman. And
Hmm.
he's got the baseball cap on, and
Hmm.
and all this stuff, and you could definitely tell. I mean, this guy probably, definitely like World War II, but the
Hmm.
elderly gentleman, and he and his wife, and she's helping him walk in. And I went up to him, and they looked scared, and I said, I just want to know, are you a Tuskegee Airman? And he straightened to me and said, "Why, yes, I am." I said, "Well, let
Yeah.
me shake your hand." And he was so like shocked that and I said to his wife, I said, "You're married to a hero." And I think it's great that their stories are getting out. Like now their stories are out. Now they're, unfortunately, a lot of them weren't alive to see that.
Hmm.
And I'm sure by now he's passed, but he was going to some kind of meeting, like vet meeting. They were having a
Hmm.
veterans meeting of some kind at the hotel. And I'm sure he was like the guest of honor, but the two of them were walking by themselves in the parking lot,
Hmm.
nobody around. And it was just such an incredible moment that I said to him, I said, "I want you to know, I'm telling everybody I met a Tuskegee Airman,"
Yeah.
because it was just so cool. So I don't
Well,
know.
that's the humility of that generation. I mean,
Yeah.
all the incredible things that they did, and when you see guys taking an honor flight to go back up to Washington D.C. to the World War II memorial, and you reach down to them, many of them in the wheelchair, and you just say, "Just thank you for what you did." And they just kind of like, it's no big deal, blah 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 blah. So I stormed the beaches of Normandy. So I jumped
Right.
out of an aircraft,
That's
in
all
the
I
large.
did.
Yeah, it's no big deal. So I, was there at the Black Sands of Iwo Jima. I just recently had lunch with the one of the last survivors from Iwo Jima, and
Oh, wow.
Don Graves, who lives over here in Keller, Texas. And it's just amazing to reach out and touch history. And I just think there's so much that our young people are missing out on, that they're
Yeah.
not getting exposed to these men. Jimmy, you just talked about, what did I learn from being down in the Marines? I mean, we could learn so much from these
Hmm.
men and women who were our, trailblazers, really, when you think about it, for our liberty and our freedom.
I
Yeah.
I'm I gotta piggyback on this. this happens to me all the time. I work in a retirement community, so I meet lots of military people here. So the day I got to clean, what I realized was a West Point grad, Green Beret, who that was the first time meeting. The second time reading him, I had saw his full name, and I knew I had read a book about him. And I'm like, wait, you were the company commander for the 173rd Airborne LRPs? He's like, yeah. And the look on his face of somebody who just had any sense of who he was.
Yeah.
Or I cleaned a French guy, a nice French guy, Michel, who was a French commando in Algiers. I'd never met a French, military person, let alone somebody who served in Algiers. And he was a fascinating guy just to hear his story. My first time, I say it all the time, we've both met tons of our heroes in radio. Like I've talked to so many amazing people that are famous musicians, and I'm a drummer, all that kind of stuff. But the day I walked into a Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation event, and there was 2 living Medal of Honor recipients that my Marine friend with, a few Purple Hearts and, Bronze Stars walked me up to, they could see I was nervous. And the one Green Beret, Sergeant Major Caviani, who just passed on a few years ago, was like, "Are you nervous?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, I know your story. I read the book. I mean, I know how you got this. And, it wasn't a good day.
No.
It's not a really good day,
Yeah, it's funny when you hear people say, "Man, I'm having a real bad day," and I kind of lean over and say, "Hey, let me tell you what a bad day is. A bad day is when you're fighting the Taliban and you're running out of ammunition and they keep coming. That can be a bad day."
Yeah.
So you're not having a bad day. Okay.
Yeah, it does put things into perspective, doesn't it? And that's where we go back to, and not to get political, but I think this country lost a lot when we got rid of the draft. I think that shaped young men in this country, especially since we have so many young men and women who grow up without a father in the home. I think the military kind of kicks their butts, and that the idea, even if you just go through the draft, go through that for a year, do some kind of service. I don't know. I think it really does a lot to shape the cliche that it helps shape young men, and it really does. It really gives them a sense of respect, not of what they call respect. They demand respect by sticking you up at the end of a gun, right? That's not what respect is. That respect is earned, and you have to give respect to get respect. And I think that we could really use that again. Not to get too philosophical, but
I think that there should be some type of national service for young men and women. I think that the military should be the last resort, because we want to make sure that we have those who want to be there to serve. But I will tell you what, I'd be happy to take some of these gangbangers and put them in a uniform and drop them off in Afghanistan and just say, "Hey, let me see how tough you really are." At midnight in Afghanistan on a night patrol. It kind of reminds me of the Dirty Dozen, how Lee Marvin put together all those knuckleheads and thugs and criminals. But I mean, he brought them together to a cohesive fighting force. And so, some of these kids that think they're tough and whatever, or, some of these athletes that think, making a comparison of a basketball game or football game to being in combat and everything. Not so fast, my friends. I mean, there's some catastrophic hits that are out there. You can get hurt, but let me tell you, at the end of the day, pretty much so, you're going to go home and you're going to have a big fat check. Most of the men and women that are serving our country, they're not getting a big fat check. But they're the ones that are the invisible heroes that we should honor every day.
Absolutely. Bill says, "I want to thank Colonel West for his service." Pete says, we're all green.
We are.
Greg says, "I read a great book about Eugene Bullard, history's first African-American fighter pilot in World War I, All Blood Runs Red by Phil Keith." So I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, but something, there was a movie that came out last, I want to say October, November, called Devotion. It was about the very first Black fighter pilot in the United States Navy. And it was sad. It really didn't have any, big box office reviews or anything like that. But I remember, like I said, the family, we're going to sit down, we're going to watch this, and you're going to understand, because they know what it's like. I mean, both our daughters grew up in the military, and my youngest daughter, she just absolutely was bawling her eyeballs. I mean, just crying, because you have to understand that, what it was like for men and women, Black, white, Hispanic, whatever, Asian, but they believed in something, and they believed in each other, and they weren't so much caring about their own personal circumstances. They knew that there was a greater cause to go out and give the last full measure of devotion to.
And
Japanese
what's the name of that movie?
Devotion.
Devotion. Okay, that's what
Yeah.
I thought. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good. I'm gonna write that down. Keep talking. Go ahead, James. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so I want you to poke a hole as a military person. Maybe you can poke a hole in this concept.
Okay.
I've never understood why, especially with an immigration problem, we don't have like the Spanish and the French, like an American Foreign Legion of some form, like a way to take a bunch of people who've come here who really want to be here, give them a set amount of time they got to serve, and then say, hey, there you go.
Well, it's interesting. I had an opportunity to meet a bunch of fellows from the French Foreign Legion, and by decree, they're not allowed to go into France. I mean, they're really mercenaries. But I would say that one of the things that caused the collapse of Rome was when Rome started to outsource military service into its provinces and things of that nature. So I think that we should be teaching our young men and women what it means to serve this nation. Like my dad said, there's no greater honor than to wear the uniform. And that has nothing to do with your color. And that's why I'm so concerned about this cultural Marxism that's coming to the military that says, one group's an oppressor and the other group's oppressed, and there's nothing you can do about it, humma, humma, humma. And we need to lower standards so everybody gets to play and, everybody gets to be a fighter pilot. Well, I don't think so. I mean, if you're if I'm on the ground and you're a fighter pilot, I want to make sure that you can hit the daggum target. I want you to be up there because of your skin color. So I think it's so important that we go back and understand that there are certain things, there's duties and responsibilities that Americans should take first and foremost. And I think serving America is it. And, if we start to say, hey, come here to America, illegally, and we'll put you in uniform and you can go out there and fight for us, that puts us on the path of Rome. So
there's actually, as we're having this conversation, first of all, I can't believe it's been half an hour already. As we have this conversation, I don't know if you've heard of him, sir, but there's a guy named King Randall, and he had this idea, and he did this at 19 years old. And it's a lot of what we're talking about here. And it's I forget exactly where he is, but he raised money to buy a building and convert it into a school. And it's a school where they stay there. It's a sleepaway school, a boarding school, for Black young men in the inner city. And they teach them, things. He has people come in to teach them car mechanics, people who come in and teach them, all these different things. And
the
these
stuff
are the
we
things
used to get taught in high school and whatever. Yeah.
But to me,
Civics,
it all goes together. It goes together with the military stuff as well. I'm going to send you his information, because you would probably be like a great person to go talk to these young men. Just because, I don't know if you want to do it, but I can still send you the info. But I think it's just something like to me, his program, and he did this at 19 years old.
Yeah.
And now I think he's like 21, 22 now. And he's got this incredible group. They go shooting. You and I have talked about target shooting before. And if I get to Texas, I'm taking you up on your offer and we're going shooting. But he's taught them things that, especially young men used to learn when they were kids. And I think, that, as we're talking about this is what's missing. And that was one of the questions I had for you, because looking at your story and you growing up and having two parents, you write in your piece in Town Hall about pride and what you're proud of. And you said that you're proud that I grew up with two parents. I'm proud of my parents, because today, most in the African American community, it's something like 75%, if not higher, kids don't grow up with two parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's had a profound effect on our country.
Absolutely. Someone tell the ladies of the View about that. But you're correct. And look, I remember in high school, you had wood shop, automobile mechanic, home economics. And home economics was not just about cooking. It was about how do you do the business of managing and running a household. I mean, I remember check writing classes and things of that nature. I remember junior achievement, where, you went in and there was a street and they had businesses, and, some of you got assigned to this business, some got assigned to the bank, and you had to learn your duties and responsibilities there, whatever business or the bank or whatever, and interact with each other, come up with business plans, all of these things. And we're not teaching young people that. I mean, but we're really good at teaching them how to be victims. We're really good with all this DEI stuff and what have you. And they come out of colleges and whatever, and they got a degree that gives them to be a barista at Starbucks. Not every kid needs to go on to college, but we need to have, critical thinkers, and we need to have young people that have productive skills. The thing that I was proud of, before getting married and everything like that, I didn't need someone to teach me how to cook. Okay. And I didn't have to run out to the doggone fast food place. I mean, I knew how to cook. I knew how to clean. I knew how to take care of a household. And so that's what we need to have, are people that can be responsible and understand the roles and duties and responsibilities of a household, or, like I said, be productive members of society. But education has to be functional. Education is not functional. And we got kids now that can't do math and can't read at grade level. But yet math is racist. Who would have ever thought? Who would ever
being
thought?
on time. You know what I learned? I learned last week that being on time is racist because it's a white concept, being on time.
Well, then I'm white, okay? Because it is not just being on time for me. I learned in the military, early is on time is late. If you're late, don't even show up, okay? And it only took me one time to violate that rule and get my what handed to me. And you can ask everyone around me that if it's on time, to me, you're late. That's called Lombardi time. But everything is white supremacy. Everything is racist. If you're going to be on time, that's racist. Who wants to do that? Two parent households is now racist. And so what is that to say, that my mom and dad were racist because they stayed together? And guess what? They're buried together in Marietta National Cemetery, just like my wife's mom and dad are buried together in Arlington National Cemetery. We got to get back to some of those old school principles and values.
Agree. Starlight Sign, who, by the way, is new to the podcast. I don't ever remember seeing this. So thank you for joining us. Says, make love, not war. Actually, a Roman concept to pacify the warlike Brits far away. Give them fine food, bathhouses, and desire. It seems to work.
That's that hearts and minds stuff. But sometimes, and hopefully I can be brutally honest with you guys, there are some people in the world that just have to get their asses kicked. I mean, they don't understand these things. As a matter of fact, we used to talk about in Afghanistan, sometimes you got to rip out a heart to get their mind, because there are warlike cultures and they only respect strength and might. So if you want to start trying to outsource fine food and bathhouses, I mean, I'm going to be very honest. When I see us outsourcing some of this leftist ideology and some of this cultural Marxism to places, so that now we're flying pride flags at the U.S. Embassy and everything like that, that's not going to make anybody respect you more. If anything, they're probably going to be snickering and laughing at you. So I think I'm not about making the world America, but I think it is about making sure that the enemies of liberty and freedom are held at bay. And as Ronald Reagan said, you have to have peace through strength. You have to have a credible deterrent, and hopefully you never have to use it. The 22 years I served in the military, I didn't sit around and say, man, I need for us to go to war today. I want to go shoot somebody. I want to go kill somebody. Hey, guys, don't you want to go shoot and kill? No. I mean, if we had to only train and could go home to our families, most of the time, that would have been fine. But when our country needed us, we had to be ready to go.
Absolutely. Mark says, a big hurrah from another Army vet.
Thanks, Mark. God bless you, man. Army strong.
And if anybody has any questions, remember, you can put them on the screen. If you're making comments on Getter, I have Allen West's pictures over on that screen, and I can't figure out how to get rid of them to look at Getter to read your questions. So super sorry about that. My IT department told me I have to hit Alt and Tab, and it's not working. So if you're leaving your questions and your comments over there, I apologize for those of you on
Just hit
Getter.
delete. Get rid of Allen West.
No, I'm looking at this picture. We'll share this. Why not? Let's share this one. Look at that handsome young man. Look at
that's
him
fantastic.
there.
Oh
Look at
boy.
that. That's ROTC. That's a ROTC picture.
Yeah, that's high school junior ROTC. That's Henry Grady High School. That was my senior year. And please destroy that picture because I don't want any proof that I had an afro.
That's the only time. My husband was looking at this. He goes, I think it's the only time his hair wasn't flat.
Yeah.
It didn't have a flat top.
That's a
I
great
did hit Alt Tab,
So,
and it doesn't work.
I have
Yeah,
a funny
Jimmy.
story. I have a funny story for you while she's talking about that. So a singer I was in a band with, a pretty liberal guy. He's a 40,
down the
mid-40s kind of guy, right? He's probably definitely leans left.
No, click, keep
And
tab. No,
he has a
Hold down the
flag
Alt.
on his car. And he
Hit
puts
the
a
tab.
flag out
No,
on
no,
events.
no.
And he says,
Hit-
you can't
hit the
imagine
tab
how many times
Hold
people
down the
come
Alt.
to me and go,
Now,
I guess
no,
you're a
keep
conservative.
tabbing to the one
And he's
you
like,
want to go to.
Oh.
no, I just love America. He goes,
Yeah.
he's so baffled. And he's trying to instill in his kids, like,
Yeah,
flag is not political. Whatever way you as children and end up leading in your life, America is still our country. And I like that there's still some people that teach that because you do get that sense like on the right, the flag is everything. On the left, please don't put that thing out because,
Well, it's pretty hurtful when I think about that because it's the flag that draped the coffin of my dad, draped the coffin of my mom, my father-in-law. It'll drape my older brother's coffin, my nephew who's a lieutenant colonel, and this month on the 14th of June is Flag Day. And it'll be very interesting to see. And 14th of June is also the 248th birthday of the United States Army. It's very interesting, those on both the same day. It'll be interesting to see what we do on Flag Day in this month that is called Pride Month. If we can just carve out a day that we can show pride in being an American and flying our flag, because there's nothing more touching than to be, deployed overseas and you look out over your, base camp or whatever, you see our flag, because that's a little piece of America where we are, where that flag is flying, or over the embassy or what have you. So, we need to have some pride and honor and respect, because I've been to like 13 or 14 different countries, and nothing beats the land of the all-night 7-Eleven and Denny's. Nothing does. I'm telling you, man, you can't beat it. There ain't no Waffle House in Italy. Okay, there is no Waffle House in Korea. I mean, you can't get some scattered, smothered, and covered hash browns nowhere else except for in the United States of doggone America. And we should be proud of little things like that.
Well, I will tell you that James and I live in New Jersey, and we don't know what a Waffle House is. So I know what they are, but we don't have them here.
Do you even have Cracker Barrel? Do you have Cracker Barrel?
We don't have them either.
Yeah, we got Cracker Barrel.
Do we? Where?
Yeah, Cracker Barrel's great. We got Denny's and Cracker Barrel. Yeah, we're close.
I know where there's a Denny's, but you are in the land of diners here. We don't need no stinking Cracker Barrel or Waffle House. You're in the land of diners. We can get breakfast 24 hours a day.
Let me tell you something. There is nothing that beats Waffle House, and I guarantee you, if I opened up a Waffle House in New Jersey, I would be a billionaire within 2-3 years. Yeah, I would.
No way. Do you serve? They do not have pork roll, egg, and cheese. You don't serve pork roll, and you don't have disco fries. That's it.
Disco fries.
Disco,
right? Disco fries are the best.
What are you talking about? Disco fries.
Oh, they're great.
They're the best, right?
So you walk in there, there's Donna Summer playing, and people still wearing platform shoes and mood rings and Zodiac. I mean, give me a break.
Disco fries are served in every diner. And you go in there at 2:00 in the morning and you order disco fries and a milkshake because you're drunk. And disco fries have cheese on them. And it depends on where you go. Sometimes it's melted America. Whatever they have, they throw the cheese on there and whatever brown gravy they have in the back. And it's never the same color brown gravy from diner to diner, from day to day. And they throw it on top and they're fantastic.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to a woman that has been sheltered all of her life. Mary, forget the shooting. When you come to Texas, we're going to the Waffle House. Okay.
All right.
We're going to the Waffle House, and I guarantee. And you will say, Alan, don't say anything, but this is better than a diner.
I don't know. The place down the street from me, the diner house,
Now,
Amy's Omelet House, the diner we have, Amy's Omelet House.
Oh, she's so
Amy's
good.
is great,
I
right?
got one down here too. Yeah, she's
It
really
has
good.
over 200 different types of omelets and like over 30 types of pancakes, and you can get it as pancakes, French toast, or waffles.
The dilemma here is he's not wrong. Waffle houses are amazing.
How's it different than a diner?
Well, so I mean, it's like the best Denny's kind of mentality you've ever been to. It's this amazing place where, like, even though it's kind of, there's, I guess they're syndicated or whatever, they're
Franchised.
The level of food, though, is just higher. It's really good, like comfort food, and everything on the menu is great.
Okay,
But
number
Jersey
one.
diners are amazingly awesome and different and cool.
No, number one, Waffle House. Waffle House is headquartered in Georgia. That's the first.
That's where I went.
About it. Okay, and the second thing, Waffle House was founded by military veterans.
Oh, did not know any of that.
But do they have the display of rotating pies at the front? Right,
No,
James? They have the same thing, the rotating desserts. They have a big glass thing, and they got a rotating thing of pies and cakes, right?
No,
every diner in New Jersey.
It's all about the waffle. It's all about the breakfast food. Or you can get, pork chops with it. You can get, T-bone steak, but it's all about the hash browns, the eggs. I mean, a scramble bowl. You ever had a scramble bowl?
No.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Mary, you're sheltered.
All right. I'll tell you what, the next time you're out this way, I'm taking you to a Jersey diner.
I've been to a Jersey diner.
Oh, you have not.
I have. Now you're going to tell me where I have been.
Where did you go?
Racist, how white of you to tell me where I have not been. See, that's what I mean.
The Colonel down?
Yeah.
Oh, you black man, you haven't been to a diner in New Jersey.
Of course I've been to a diner in New Jersey. I've been to Secaucus, New Jersey. I've been all over New Jersey.
All right. The TikTok in North Jersey is like the quintessential, but they're all over they're really good diners. So very quickly here, Queens Raiders says,
See?
that's what happens when you're drunk. Everything tastes good.
See?
It's very true.
Mary, you just told on yourself.
Yeah.
Listen, but that was a fine tradition when we were kids. We were in our 20s. You go to a club, you go out, and then everybody went to a diner because they're open 24 hours a day.
So is Waffle House.
And you can get breakfast 24 hours a day, and you can get
So
some good Greek food. Got to have Greek food in them. They also have to have Greek. You got to get good spanakopita. What else do they? The good moussaka. I'm not a big moussaka fan, but I love a good spanakopita.
I'm from Georgia. I can't even pronounce that.
Well, because every diner is owned by a Greek guy.
Mary, you ever had fried catfish?
Oh.
Yes, I have.
Hush puppies?
I have.
Okay, I just want to check, make sure,
I have. When I was a kid, my parents used to take me to Sea Island, Georgia.
See?
And they said they'd have that stuff.
Do you know that I was born and raised in Georgia. Do you know that Georgia has the most barrier islands of any state on the Atlantic coast?
Wow. I did not know that. Learn something new every day.
Yep.
I have not been to Georgia in a really, really long time. So, okay, on a different note, you are coming up on 34 years of marriage in December. James is getting married in October.
Oh.
What marriage advice would you give him? 34 years, that's incredible. What would you tell him?
You don't have to win every fight.
I like that.
There are some things you have to stand on your principles for. And yes, dear means you never have to say, I'm sorry. So just
great advice.
Yeah. So just go with it, bro.
I'm a fan.
But just understand, you're about to lose your freedom. You'd be like Braveheart, man. Freedom.
Yeah, she's around a lot. Yeah.
James, what's your age difference? This is the other bone of contention we have. What's your age difference?
She's 27. I'm 50. I knew her from actually this show from when we were on radio. That's how I met her. She came on first as a phone call, and then we had on her.
She was 11. She was 11.
15. But yeah. Hey, we were just nice.
Oh my God. Don't embarrass him. This is national radio.
Oh, we've done this a million times, so we're good.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is not embarrassing. We fight about this all the time. I'm like, really? Are you real? I think. What is she gonna do in 20 years when she's in the prime of her life? You're gonna be wearing diapers.
She's not in a prime of her life. She's 90. I love her, but she's 90. She says she's 27, but she's really 90. Her favorite bands are, Rush and Donnie and Marie. She watches
love
Happy
Rush.
Days every day. Right.
I love Rush.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We just met the font. That's pretty funny, actually.
Wow.
So-
Yeah, we met Henry Winkler.
She just met Henry Winkler and Donny Osmond. I saw the pictures. Yeah.
She's 90. I love her, but she's old school.
All right.
She's an old soul.
Okay, now I know.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yo,
Fist bump, bro. You got it going on.
thanks, man. Appreciate that.
You
I
got
really
it
appreciate
going
it.
on.
Thank you.
1 year in, we're gonna have to have Alan back to see how it's going.
Yeah.
I mean, I love her. I think you guys are great. I love her, and I bust your chops, and I really do wish that happens for you.
100%.
And I'm just gonna
Wouldn't
sit
happen
back
any
and
other way.
watch. I think if nothing else, it's gonna be phenomenal entertainment. So, so there's that. So, okay, I know you are a scuba diver. That is one
Yep.
of your things.
Yep.
Where is like your favorite place to scuba? My husband loves to scuba dive. Where
Oh,
is your
yeah.
favorite place?
Cayman Brac is
Never been
the
there.
oh, you got to go. It's just pristine waters, and when you dive the wall over at Little Cayman, it's incredible to just be going along the seawall there and all the marine life, and to look down into the abyss, the deep blue ocean. And you got to check those gauges because you can get lost, and next thing you know, you're down at 140, 150 feet. But it's just so serene and so peaceful, and that's what I love about it the most. So next summer I'll get to go back down to the Caymans because COVID really shut a lot of things down.
Yeah.
But I would tell you, living down in South Florida, great diving there off of Fort Lauderdale and Pompano Beach. A lot of people don't realize that the third largest reef system in the world is located off the Southeast Florida coast. And that area is also known as the wreck diving capital of the world. A lot of wrecks there that have been sunk and became artificial reefs. Again, it's just absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not a huge scuba diver. I'm claustrophobic, not a big fan of like, oh my God, I'm going to be down here. I'm not going to be able to breathe. So,
well, it's always so funny when you're on the dive boat. And, lots of times when I lived in South Florida, I just, get my gear and go over, and you're going to get paired up with somebody. I'd always sit around saying, that guy's fat, out of shape, she's smoking, whatever, because, those would be the people, they would jump in the water and then 5 minutes later, they're ready to come back up. So, you want to get paired up with someone that has the breath control and able to not hyperventilate and everything. So.
Yeah, you don't want to go diving with me.
Yeah.
But I will go to the Waffle House with you.
All right.
I got a quick one.
Yeah.
go ahead.
You mentioned, so I'm I grew up as a drummer. And so Rush is obviously
Neil Peart.
Absolutely, right?
Incredible.
And my fiance is also swooning right now because it's her favorite band too. But give me 5 artists you think everybody should know about.
Oh, that's good. 5
people you like. Who 5 people just like, man, I really love this and this and this and this.
Well, I would tell you that in college, my favorite song when I'm studying late at night was Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb.
Nice.
I loved the work of the Police, just an incredible band and the Span, and I love Sting and what he was able to do after, being with the Police and the transition that he made. I think Tina Turner, sadly we lost her, but the transition that she made, going from, strong soul and R&B over into rock. And I will tell you, now I'm going to get a little eclectic. Maybe it's a band you haven't heard of, but there was a band called Ultravox. And golly, I mean,
80s new wave band. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, 80s new wave.
Yeah, amazing.
They were just incredible. All these guys were classically trained musicians, and the incorporation of the electric violin into their music was just fantastic. Billy Currie was an incredible violinist. So I really do enjoy Ultravox. And so that's what I kind of, rock out on, every now and then. My favorite channel is, like Sirius XM 33 and 25, the 80s music.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it.
Very
Fantastic
cool.
choices.
So I have a question. Were you
Mhm.
popular in high school?
Not really.
No?
No, I wasn't. Look, it is amazing. I was the, ROTC Cadet Battalion Commander. President of the student body. Track team captain, co-captain of the football team, all that kind of stuff. But I was a book nerd, and that was that time period in our neighborhood. The chicks didn't dig book nerds.
Yeah.
They liked the bad boys, and so I was carrying books home, and I was studying, and a lot of times girls would say, well, you talk funny, you talk different. The girlfriend that I had when I was in high school, she was from another high school, Northside High School. So I wasn't real popular guy. That's okay. I graduated. I did good. I'm happy.
Did you go to the prom?
Yeah, I went to the prom,
Oh,
and like I said, my girlfriend was from Northside High School, so I went to her prom, and she went to my prom at Grady High School. And it was funny because we were rivals, actually. And I remember the way that we met was that we were playing, and she was a majorette for Northside High School, and I was a football player, so she noticed me on the field, and right after the halftime show I noticed her, and somehow some way we were able to find each other. Teresa Cartwright was her name, but she went on her way when we went to college, and I went my way.
have you ever been in touch with her in the age of social media?
No, no. I mean, I've
Really?
never been to. No, I've never been to my high school reunions or anything. Man, you want me to get shot by my wife? My wife is Jamaican, man. She'll machete me to death. Okay, you don't mess with Jamaican women, man. You out of your mind. Oh yeah, I'm gonna call my high school girlfriend Angela. Is that okay by you?
Are
Chop,
you?
chop, chop.
One of my former boyfriends was from college, was at our wedding, and so was my husband's high school girlfriend was at our, and he read in his high school girlfriend's wedding, for God's sake.
Wow,
So
wow.
I don't
Well,
care. All right, one more
that's you
question, and
white.
then
That's you white people, man. Y'all are weird. You get killed in a black wedding like that.
I I could tell a story. Friend of ours was an interracial marriage. We've known them for a long time,
Yeah.
and his dad I will never forget. So it's my parents are at the wedding, and my
Mhm.
husband's parents are at the wedding. We're all there, and his dad comes back. So he was black, she's white, and he still is black actually. And so his dad came back to us, and he goes, "All right, white people follow the black man," and it was like some kind of line dance. He got us all together. He goes, "White people, follow me."
Left, right, left, right.
I think I'm supposed to be insulted. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I'm supposed to be insulted.
Well, I will tell you something, and what I noticed was that after Top Gun, white folks got cool. I mean, they really did. They started going to the
Wow.
gym. Yeah, you did. I mean, before that, y'all weren't cool. But then all
Oh,
of a sudden, Top Gun made y'all cool. You started
oh.
doing like real, cool stuff and dressing different and working out and stuff like that. And it
So
was a
this is
change.
84.
wait. So
Yeah.
this is thanks to Tom Cruise. That's kind of
Well,
weird.
I just noticed that Top Gun just kind of changed things. It really did.
So Tom Cruise's physics teacher in high school was my aunt.
No way.
Yep,
Wow.
in Glenridge High School, Glenridge, New Jersey. Yeah.
Did he pass physics?
She said he was a terrible student.
I buy
Yeah,
that.
but now he's a pilot. He's an actual pilot.
Oh, so's my husband. I mean, well, my husband was a good. My husband flies for the Coast Guard, volunteers. But
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Well,
my husband's actually was a good student, so there's
yeah.
a difference there.
But
But
see, I wasn't. And so, I went to the University of Tennessee thinking I was going to be an engineer and all this type of stuff. And, maybe I get a chance to fly in the Army. Well, that didn't go so well. But they told me there was another thing that I could do dealing with airplanes. And so they asked me to take this test. And I said, sure. She said, so, they said, well, this is a red light. What does red light mean? Stop. And so what does the green light mean? Go. They said, okay, get in line. You can be a paratrooper.
I was gonna say, they let you jump out of the planes. They don't let you fly them. They let you jump out of them.
No, it only took 3 weeks as opposed to how many years you had to go through training. So,
Wait, so not to, because I know you got to go, and I want to go through these pictures
Yeah.
because I think these pictures are great. What is that like to jump? Like I cannot even begin to imagine insane people who jump out of planes.
Yeah.
Well, we're not insane. I mean,
No, you're
it's a
crazy.
thrill. No, stop. Well, there are two different types. I mean, there's the military combat jumping, static line jumping, and normally that's 800 to 1,000 feet. My highest jump was 3,000 feet. It was still static line. And then you have the free fall. That's all the pretty stuff where you see like the SEALs and the special operations guys doing. And that's a completely different training. You have, high altitude, low opening. You have high altitude, high opening. You have to be trained to be on a mask with some of that free fall stuff. So, 250 pounds of gear, jumping out of an airplane, 800 to 1,000 feet is pretty daring. It's pretty interesting, but it's a thrill. And it's just a means to get you from point A to point B on the battlefield. But there is no sound on Earth like when a plane opens its doors and it's going 130, 135 miles per hour. It makes a sound that you will never forget for the rest of your life.
Wow.
Yeah, including my screams with me hanging onto the sides going, no!
Oh, you know what? We're gonna get you hooked up with some Golden Knights. Yeah, you do it.
No.
H.W. Bush did it. You can do it.
I don't. Well, good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Exactly.
Listen, if your friend jumps out of a plane, are you going to jump out of one too?
Well, obviously I did.
Yeah, he went right behind somebody.
Yeah, I was. But I will tell you, my very first jump, I was the first guy. I was the man in the door because, at airborne school, I was an officer. So I was in charge of a group of paratroopers. And let me tell you something, standing there and watching terra firma going by you. And it was pretty interesting. When that red light went to green, I mean, instinct just kicks in.
You were also in artillery, right?
Yeah, I was an artilleryman. I was,
that's great.
Red Leg, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And a lot of people don't understand that, light artillery, that was something that they used in D-Day, was airborne artillery to bring them in the gliders, before the troops. So it was very, very awesome to be an airborne field artilleryman. And artillery, period. One thing I've always had a love for, even though it's racist, is math and artillery, being able to understand how you take a huge projectile from point A to point B, 15, 16 kilometers away, and you hit that target. I loved being able to do that. That was just a great thrill.
What do you drop? 105s?
Well, you drop the 105s. Yeah, 105s. And you can drop the towed 155, the wheeled version. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The towed 155. It is a big gun. And I have seen one that was heavy dropped and somehow it inverted and it landed, upside down. It took some time to dig that howitzer out of the sand. So.
Oh my, I think that's a mistake. Queens Raiders says that's where I did basic.
Oh yeah, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, great place. And I have the biggest knife I've ever seen in my life was out there in Oklahoma. I never smoked, never drank, so I was always the designated driver. And when you're at officer basic school for, artillery, and you get a bunch of lieutenants on the weekend, they want to go out and, party, have a good time. There was, one time we went to this little bar and there was, I don't know if he was Comanche or whatever, but there was a very large Indian guy who was there. And one of my friends made the mistake of calling him Tonto. And it was kind of like that song. Remember that song by Leonard Skinner? Give me 3 steps. Give me 3 steps.
Yes.
I just went up to him and said, "Man, let me tell you what. I'm going to get them all out of here. Just give me some time," because he was about to pull. He pulled the biggest knife I ever seen in my doggone life, and he was going to do some slicing. And so I got those guys out of there, and
that's great.
Yeah,
I love it when you have a story that's just like a song, like or a country song. You know what I mean? That's not a country song, but yeah.
And you never see a me no more. Show me the back door.
Right. Totally. Scott over on Getter, I figured out how to get over there. He says that he also would like to thank you for your service as well. And he said I should try snorkeling, which I have done. He said, because I know that the air is up there. One last question. James, do you have anything else?
I'm good. It's been fantastic.
Okay.
No,
What food did you miss the most when you were deployed?
Oh, that's easy. Cheeseburgers. Yeah.
Okay.
Cheeseburgers. I mean,
My buddy said the same thing.
well, when we were in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, after everything was over, some guy came up with this hamburger place, and we drove like 3 hours to stand in line for probably another 3 or 4 hours to get one cheeseburger, because it was just lovely, and you just bit into it slowly, and just sat and chewed on it and chewed on it, and it's just amazing. When you deploy, the little things you miss. I will tell you, ice water. Ice water is a premium to me, because there have been some
Really?
times. Oh yeah, there have been some times when you just didn't have any, good cold water to drink. But
Yeah.
that's it.
That's amazing. All right, so let's quickly go. I want to go through these pictures if you don't mind, because these are
Yeah.
great. This one is my favorite. This one right here is my favorite picture. It's just I just have to slowly do this. I have to go back and forth through them. That's
Oh,
that's your grandson, right?
yeah, that was my
Wow.
grandson. That was 2 years ago at the Armed Forces Bowl. And you used to live in Fort Worth. That's the TCU football stadium.
Oh
And
yeah. Okay.
yeah, it was just amazing to have the flag unfurled there. And Army, who did they beat that night? I want to say Missouri. Army beat Missouri that night.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. So now let me go to, hold on. I got over here. Here we go. Those are your beautiful daughters, right?
Yes, yeah, that's on the waterfront there in Pittsburgh. My
Oh,
oldest,
Pittsburgh.
yeah, my oldest daughter has the longer hair. She was at physician assistant school in Wheeling, West Virginia, and that's my youngest daughter, Austin. We were up there visiting Aubrey at PA school. She's a PA now here in Texas, in an orthopedic trauma surgery center.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Okay, so there's that picture. Now this is your dad, you, and your older brother?
No, those are my three brothers, and so
You have
that'll.
three. Oh, you have
Oh,
two
well, that's
brothers.
two
There's
brothers.
three
Two brothers. Yeah, all three of us. Yeah, and
Oh, I didn't
so.
really.
And so with the glasses, that's my oldest brother. That is Marine Corps Lance Corporal Herman West Jr. He was wounded at Quezon, Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 26 Marines. And on the other side is my youngest brother. That's Arlen, who is 9 years my junior. So he's 53. And of course, that's yours truly sitting down there. That was down in South Georgia at my brother's house.
Well, your brother spent a lot of time up in I Corps, huh?
Yikes.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
that's chilling.
All right. There's the picture of your dad.
Yep.
There we saw that. There he is.
Yeah.
This is your son?
No, that is my oldest brother's son. That is at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And he and I just finished about a 4.5 mile morning PT run. And he is the fourth generation in our family to serve in this country. He is he's Lieutenant Colonel Herman Bernard West III. And next week he takes command of an artillery battalion at Fort Lewis, Washington. And of course, 21 years ago, he was there when I took command of an artillery battalion.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. That's right. You have two daughters, so this
Yes.
would, of course, yeah, your nephew.
Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations. That's such.
Thank
I mean,
you.
what an incredible legacy. I love it. I think I loved the story of your family, which is why I want to show these pictures. I'm so glad you sent them. That's the picture with your parents.
Yep, commission.
Now, who
That's-
is this gentleman?
That is Ray Lambert, and he landed there, 16th Infantry Regiment. He was a combat medic, and there's a great little documentary about Staff Sergeant Ray Lambert and what was known as Ray's Rock. There was a rock that he found that kind of shielded him, and that's where he treated wounded soldiers there on Omaha Beach. And sadly, like I said, we lost him 2 years ago at the ripe old age of 100.
How old is he in this picture?
In that picture, I want to say 97.
Wow.
Get the heck out of here.
Oh, Ray was an incredible guy, sharp as a tack.
Wow.
Yeah.
He doesn't look, he looks like maybe he looks like he's in his 70s.
No, he was 97 in that.
Wow.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is you on the left.
Yeah, that's me on the left, and that's my driver, Sergeant Robert Delgado, and that was us in Iraq back in 2003. And Robert Delgado was shot in a little bit of a firefight that we had there just north of our base, north of Baghdad. The bullet actually struck him in the chest, but it ricocheted off of his body armor and ended up going through his arm. And it was a clean entry-exit wound, and he recovered from it very well. He lives down just outside Houston, Texas, right now.
Wow.
Oh, that's not far.
Yep.
Okay. Here, hold on. There we go.
Yeah, that's Ray Lambert again. That was
Yes.
the 1st Infantry Division, 16th Infantry Regiment reunion up at the 1st Infantry Division Museum just south of Chicago in Cantigny, Illinois.
Oh, wow. This is good. But that's a lot of metal there on your chest. I bet you can't go through the detector at the airport.
You can get that stuff on eBay. It was on sale, so I picked up a few things.
I can just see them handing you one of those bands. You go, okay, hold on. hold on. Take everything off. That's crazy. Yep. That's incredible. Wow, what a great picture. Okay, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm a proud, University of Tennessee volunteer, graduated in 1983, and every year I get a chance to go back for a football game, and that's my dear friend Dwight Tefteller, who is in charge of the groundskeeping there in Neyland Stadium. And you can see the famous orange and white checkerboard there, the end zones at Neyland Stadium.
There's a country song that's popular right now.
Yeah. I'm from Georgia.
I'm wearing Tennessee orange.
Yeah, wearing Tennessee
from Georgia.
Orange. Yeah. Well, that's me. I'm from Georgia, but I'm wearing Tennessee orange. Yeah.
So how's that going over with the family?
Well, until we beat the Georgia Bulldogs, I'm catching crap every football season. I tell you what, so maybe this will be our year this year. We'll see.
I'm not a football. I'm a basketball girl, so I'm an NCAA girl, so I know nothing about football.
Well, I mean, we had a good run with our Tennessee Volunteers, both men's and women's this year. So I'm pretty proud of them. We're getting winning tradition back there on Rocky Top, as we call it.
Well, we're working on it too, as you can see. I'm a Nova girl, my Nova Nation.
Oh yeah, you guys had some pretty good seasons there with old
but
Jay.
we lost Jay, the hottest coach in basketball, by the way.
Here we go.
That man can wear a suit. That's all I'm going to say is that man, and his wife graduated Villanova with me.
Oh, wow.
We graduated the same year. He graduated Bucknell the same year I did.
Oh,
and Jay, when he left, James knows. I flew. We have, when Villanova's playing, we have a big flagpole with the yard arms, because I live at the shore, so we got the yard arms, and we've got like every championship Villanova flag and the big V and the whole bit. We flew the Villanova flag upside down at half staff when he quit.
Well, he might come back. He could still do it.
He's hanging around. Coach Neptune needs a little bit of help. I'm willing to give Coach Neptune one season. After that, all grace is gone. It's a Catholic school. I got to give him a year of grace. But after that, the priest, who the basketball chaplain, the priest, Father, I don't know who it is now. It used to be Father Laser. I don't know who it is now, but Padre may need to give him a talking to if he doesn't get his act together.
A little divine information.
Or butt kicking.
Yep, that works.
One way or the other. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Again with the Tennessee Orange, who's here?
That is my dear friend Gary Potts. He retired also as a full colonel in the United States Army. So he and I went through Army ROTC together there at Tennessee. We served together a couple of times on active duty, and that was us going back from one of our Army ROTC reunion weekends there in Knoxville.
Nice. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, I can never go to Tennessee. I don't look good in orange. It's not good with my skin tone.
That's a beautiful color.
Oh, look it. Oh, I love this. Your wife is beautiful.
Yeah, that was Christmas Eve of 1989. The Big Bear Mountains, just outside San Bernardino. That's where we got married.
So very quickly, how did you meet her? She's Jamaican.
She had a connection to Kansas. She had graduated from Kansas State University, and she ended up being a business professor there. And I was stationed at Fort Riley, and that's how we met.
Wow, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Wow, what a
great
great picture. This is a great picture.
I think she was trying to choke me, but that's okay.
Somebody's got to keep you in line. That is
your high school girlfriend.
Oh, you want me to choke you, man? Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right.
That's your mom.
That's mom. That's me standing up, and that's my youngest brother. That was, oh man, I want to say that's probably like 1970, 1971.
Yeah. Wow.
I
You're
was
young.
9 or 10 years old. Yeah.
Up, and that's a different picture. I don't
Yeah.
know why that got downloaded, but it did.
Yeah.
Wow. So, well, thank you for sharing these photos with us.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
so much. And again, thank you for coming on. This is really
Oh.
a lot of fun. Truly a treat for me. And I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to do something different, and I hope you enjoyed it as
I
well.
did.
Good, good. I'm glad. And thank you. And the audio will be up on Apple and Spotify in
Yeah.
about an hour. Just got to get
Okay.
down and just edit out some stuff. It'll be up there. You can find him at Allen West, Allen West on Twitter. And I'm telling you, you come east, I'm gonna drag you into New Jersey. We're getting disco fries and pork roll, egg, and cheese, right?
I ain't doing
You gotta have
nothing disco. I'm doing nothing disco.
you are doing the disco fries and pork roll, egg, and cheese, and you're gonna love it. And I will videotape it, and I will record it, videotape it. I'm
Okay,
10,000 years old.
and I'm going to record you coming down here and eating at Waffle House.
All right, I could do that. I could do that. James, we'll get in the car. We'll do a road trip. It'll take us forever to get there, fighting
100%.
the entire way.
Yep.
Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much. You tell your wife she's done a wonderful job keeping you in line. She is
Training
gorgeous.
me. Yeah, training me. Huh?
Get no offense, but you married up. Just saying. And thank you very much for joining us tonight,
Yep.
Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. Next Tuesday, Mary Walter Radio, 7:15 on YouTube and Getter. Please join us and have a fantastic evening, everybody.
And
Bye-bye.
congratulations, Jimmy, and
Thanks,
good
sir.
luck on the wedding.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, bye,
Bye-bye.
y'all.
Bye.